Welcome to Towering Pines. As you can see, we like to garden. We may not be the best at it, but we're learning. So about a year ago, we had a big hole in the ground here where it was compacting from when the contractors dumped stuff when they made the house, and we were told by the HOA that was unsightly. So rather than just throw sod down, we built this garden bed. Out here in front of the house, you can see we have a hedgerow where there used to be mulch before we moved in, but the mulch has all died up. Now we got grass growing through. It gets very weedy in the summer, and the HOA liked to bother us about that. So we're hoping to get some wood chips delivered here sometime soon and fill all this in with wood chips to try and kill off the weeds. Additionally, we have a beautiful magnolia tree over here. Same situation. The mulch has been used up. It's got a lot of weeds that we're hoping to pull up today, and again hoping to get a bunch of wood chips to lie down under there. Over on the left side of the house, come back here, camera woman. Over on the left side of the house, you can see these three pine trees here. So this is where the name of the home is from, is these towering pines. As you can see, they are quite tall. I assume we'll have to take them out someday, but not yet. Underneath the trees, there's a beautiful mat of pine tree mulch. It's just natural, falls every year. Long term, we're hoping to maybe figure out if we can plant anything in this shade or not, but I'm not sure how well it'll take. So that's the front yard and kind of what we're thinking there.
Okay, and here we have our herbs. I've been growing herbs on and off for many years. This is one of my favorite ways to do an herb garden, is to stack pots. I used to have one that was a lot bigger than this, but we used plastic pots, and they don't hold up in the hot southern sun. So I've moved to the terracotta pots, which I like a lot better. As long as you don't drop them and break them, they will last a long time. In the center pot, we have chives, and these are actually, I would call them family heirloom chives. These are chives I brought with me from New England. I had them planted in my garden that we had up there, and I divided them and brought some down when we moved down south. Before that, they were divided and brought from the house where I grew up. My mom had planted them, and I believe she brought them from the house that we lived in when I was just a baby. So these are chives from chive plants that have been thriving for years and years and years. Chives are pretty hardy and they hold up quite well. We also have some parsley, we have some rosemary, some thyme, some Italian oregano, and some sage. Some of these will come back, some of them will not. A lot of it depends on what hardy zone you are in. But most of these should come back for us next year. I actually had to replace all of my herbs earlier in the season, other than the chives, which thankfully survived, because the dog decided he wanted them and dug them all up in the backyard. Hence the fact that we put them in a pot in the front where the dog can't be. And then over here are our herbs that are just annuals. That means they won't come back next year. We'll have to buy new ones. We have basil, which is wonderful. You can use it for caprese salad, in spaghetti sauce, anything Italian. We don't do pesto because I have a pine nut allergy, but it's great for cooking. And then cilantro, which is one of our favorite herbs in the summer. We use it in fresh salsa that we make, and just a nice refreshing taste. It's very important with cilantro to keep it well watered. It does not like the heat, and it will turn to seed and turn into coriander very quickly if you ignore it. So once it starts to flower, you have to pick off the flowers unless you want coriander, but we don't use coriander much, we just use the cilantro. And those are our herbs for now. Eventually we're hoping to get a few other things, some varieties of mint. But mint is an invasive herb. You have to be very, very careful about where you plant it unless you want it to go nuts. So we're waiting until we've figured out the right place for the mint. But those are our herbs for now.
All right, and welcome to our backyard. As you can see, it is a ginormous backyard. Kind of tilted. It's got a bunch of holes in it from where tree stumps have been hollowed out. We are hoping to put in a vegetable garden up here at the top where it's somewhat level, and then gradually over time turn the entire backyard into a giant fruit orchard and put in perennials and all sorts of stuff. We've been watching some YouTube videos on someone who is in New Jersey following the back to Eden gardening method with wood chips. So again, we're hoping on getting some wood chips in here soon to lie out and start killing off this grass. As you can see, my wife has planted some beautiful, what are they called?
Wisteria.
Wisteria. These are, I think, 2 years old, maybe 2.5 years old. And they're already blooming this past year, so we're excited about that. What we're thinking is maybe trimming these up and putting a bench in this general area. And so that's all we have for now in the backyard. Like I said, we're mostly just waiting on wood chips, and we've got a few small things we're doing in preparation in the meantime. Let's go show you one of those. All right, Luke, what are you working on in here for the garden?
The composter. This is the frame. I just finished getting in all the screws and bolts, tightening it up nice and strong.
And who do you have helping you there?
Not this dog. He's getting me stuff, and then all my other helpers wandered off.
Okay. And is your dad much of a handy person?
Sort of, not really.
Okay. So is that why you're doing this?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
So what do you got left to do?
Well, I've got the frame done, so now I actually have to assemble the actual composter, and then we'll
Oh my gosh, this is
suspend it right here on the frame.
All right. So we'll check in with you later with the finished product then, you think? All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Luke.
Okay, I'm just finishing up putting in the last screw.
So how has it been?
It's been a hard project, but seeing it all come together and surveying your work is it's pretty cool, pretty motivating after you see it. There, that's the last screw, and now it's putting on the last piece. And the composter is done.
Yay!
Woo!
Took about an hour and a half or so, but it's worth it. It's pretty cool to look at your work, see what you've done. Has two side divider. There's about like 64 screws. My hand is pretty messed up after doing all that. I had help from Dad and Cassie, so
Dasher helped a little bit early on.
yeah,
Did Pippin help?
no.
No. Dog never helped. Huh?
No.
All right. So shall we get it moved to the backyard then, and then
Yeah.
maybe later we'll do a video showing us loading it up for the first time?
Yep, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have the composter built together and we're getting ready to fill it up. We have a bunch of what's called browns in here, which is like dried leaves. We got some raw pine straw, some dead magnolia leaves. You want a good mix of both browns and greens, which are like wet things. Sorry. Which we have in here, like watermelon, peas, strawberry tops. Eggshells are really good. We've only got a few in there right now, but we eat a lot of eggs, so that shouldn't be a problem. We need to get this in fast, because there's two types of decomposition. There's composting, which has like air, which is what you want because it gets you that good soil, and there's rotting, which you don't want because obviously it smells bad and it doesn't really make good soil. And this is already starting to smell a little bit, so we have to get it in there fast so that it I don't even know the word. So that it composts the right way.
Aerobic.
Yeah, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic is with air, which is good, that's composting, and anaerobic, which is without air, rotting, not good. So we're gonna kind of fill this in layers. I have some gloves because I don't really want to touch that, but we got to get it in there. So we're gonna try and fill up one side with these browns and greens and lay it up.
So are there any food scraps we don't want to put in there?
No meat and no dairy.
Okay.
Eggs are dairy.
And is it good
want
to
the inside.
cut those up as small as we can?
Yes, you don't want big chunks because that'll slow down the composting.
Okay.
And you also want a wide variety of different greens and browns because then you have more nutrients because it's a lot of different plants. You mostly want plants and plant scraps in here.
Okay. So this a lot of our browns are coming from our brush pile that we've built up over the years of pruning we've done around the yard, some bushes we took way back a few years back, Japanese maple that we prune, magnolia tree. Actually the magnolia tree we just did recently, so those leaves are more like greens. This is our first attempt. We're by no means experts, so we'll come back in a few weeks, see how we did, and make adjustments if we need to. I was talking to Luke earlier and said one of the things we need to get is order ourselves a thermometer. So when you're doing your composting, it should naturally get hot, and your thermometer can make sure that you've got the right balance of greens and browns and getting that aerobic reaction that you're looking for. So I think that wraps us up for today, and we'll see y'all soon.